Students, today we will talk about the introduction to genetics. Means actually will talk about the different terms which are very important to learn before going into the detailed study of the genetics. So this is our first slide. Now firstly we'll see what is the definition of the genetics. Genetics is the branch of biology which is related with the study of genes and genetic variations and heredity in organisms. So genetics is a branch of biology in which we can study the structure of genes and how they are arranged, and how because of the genes how there is variations occurs, how the heredity occurs in the organisms. Genetics is used for the study of mechanism of heredity and variation. So it is simply because of the genes which are present in our cells, in our germ cells, and those genes are responsible for the hereditary characteristics or whatever variations we see in our parents and in the offsprings, and also in the siblings the variation is seen. So it is just because of the genes. So on the other hand, it has provided tools for the study of fundamental biological processes which are examined and taught in areas like plant physiology, biochemistry, ecology, plant pathology, microbiology, etc. So it is a very important tool, we can say, which is used to study different studies, like different areas we can learn about, that is plant physiology, biochemistry, ecology, and not only these but other also. Then these are some important terms which are usually used in the genetics, so it is important to know about all these terms before studying genetics. The first term is trait. So what is trait? Trait is a distinguishing quality or characteristics developed by a factor. Trait is a characteristic, so an inherited character and its detectable variant, like for example tallness or dwarfness. These are the characteristics, and also the color. So some traits can be environmentally determined or modified also. So when it was not discovered, the gene was not actually discovered, the scientists used to call it as a factor. So it is nothing but the quality or characteristics which is developed by a factor, that is gene. The next term is gene. A gene is a sequence of nucleotides in DNA which is responsible for a particular character. So the trait which we see, or characteristics which we see, that is just because of the sequence of nucleotides in DNA. And this sequence of nucleotides in DNA is nothing but the gene, and actually this is only the responsible factor for a particular character. Next term is allele. An allele is one of two or more versions of a gene. So an individual inherits two alleles for each gene, one from each parent. The two alternative forms of a gene are called alleles of each other. They occupy identical loci, means position, on homologous chromosomes, and these terms were actually coined by Bateson. Next is and one more definition of the alleles, it is alternative form of gene is called allele. Okay, so let's move to the next term, that is locus. So locus is the position, locus or loci is a position of a gene on a chromosome. So where the genes are located, that is the locus of that particular gene on a chromosome. The next term is homozygous. It is a genetic condition where an individual inherit the same alleles for a particular gene. Homozygous means an individual possessing similar alleles for a particular trait is called homozygous, or pure for that trait. Homozygous breeds true to the trait and produces only one type of gamete. Example of homozygous is parental tall with capital T and dwarf plant with small t, that is homozygous. Then next term is heterozygous, having two different alleles of a particular gene. So here an individual which is possessing dissimilar alleles for a particular trait is called heterozygous or hybrid for that trait. Heterozygous does not breed true for that trait and produce two types of gametes. For example, F1 generation hybrids are capital T and lowercase t, that is small t. So this is heterozygous. Next term is cross. Cross means when we breed two plants, that is known as a cross between the two plants. Then filial. Next is filial. Filial means the generation, next generation. For example, F1 generation, F2 generation. So when there is a formation of the offsprings from the parents, that is the first generation, and then whatever next generation we get, that is F2 generation. So that is a filial. Then another term is phenotype. The term phenotype refers to the observable physical properties of an organisms. So this phenotype means for example, the tallness of the plant, dwarfness of the plant, then the color of the plant, or whatever the properties we can see which can be observed, those are called phenotypes. And the next term is genotype. A genotype is an organism's set of heritable gene that can be passed down from parents to offsprings. So it is a genotype, which is the genes which are responsible for the expression of the phenotype or the characteristics. So it is a genetic makeup or set of genes which are further or which are responsible for the formation of a particular characteristics. Next and the last important term is Punnett square or a checkerboard. Now this Punnett square or checkerboard is the diagram used to show possibilities of combinations in a particular cross or breeding experiment. So there is a diagram on which we put the combinations of the crosses and we can study the breeding experiment. So it is nothing but the checkerboard or Punnett square. So all these things, all these important terms are should be studied before the genetics, and that's why I've made this video for you. So thank you for watching this video. Subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.